Broke black businessman picks up a hitchhiker, not knowing she's a runaway millionaire heiress. The world didn't change overnight. No single broadcast ended the rot. But the myth cracked. The invincible mask of untouchable capital. It tore. And through that crack came people. Voices, alternatives. Justice didn't win, but it stopped losing. And for now, that was enough. Before we start the story, write in the comments from which part of the world you're watching today. Darius Thomas didn't hear the phone drop. His fingers had gone numb before it even hit the floor. In the silence that followed, he stared at the blinking cursor on his screen, a half-written email to the board, an announcement, excitement, hope, dead now, 5 years. That's how long he'd built NoblePath, a platform designed to help small, minority-owned businesses with logistics, analytics, and payment tools. He started it in his garage in Atlanta with just one friend and a borrowed laptop. By the third year, they were in conversations with city councils and banks. By the fourth, venture capital started knocking. Real money, real reach. By the beginning of this year, Darius was in talks for a national launch. He had 5 term sheets, 3 partnerships pending, and 1 keynote speech scheduled for a tech summit in San Francisco. And now, nothing. "They pulled out," said Naomi, his COO, over the phone. "All of them. In the same hour." Darius didn't say anything. "It's coordinated," she said quietly. "I checked. The wording in the withdrawal notices is eerily similar. Words like market realignment, loss of confidence, shifting risk models. But one phrase stood out. Concerns about founder market fit. He knew what that meant. He'd heard it before, always behind closed doors. It meant, you're not what we expected. It meant, we like the product, but not the face behind it. It meant you're black. 3 weeks later, NoblePath was declared insolvent, forced to liquidate. Their intellectual property were code, systems, datasets, quietly absorbed by Northpoint Digital, a subsidiary of a large holding company. That company? Winters Enterprise. "They offered to buy the whole thing 2 months ago," Naomi had whispered, her voice shaking. "You turned them down. You said we weren't for sale." Darius stared at the eviction notice on the office door, the same office that once hosted city council members, small business leaders, community organizers. All gone. Vaporized. In the weeks that followed, Darius became a ghost. Not publicly. The press release said he was stepping away for personal reasons. Privately, he spiraled. Sleep vanished. His inbox filled with condolences he couldn't bear to open. Every news story about NoblePath's unexpected collapse made him nauseous. He knew the game. He just hadn't expected to lose this way. With a whisper, not a blow. The tipping point came quietly, like everything else. He went for a drive. No destination, just road. It was raining, hard. The kind of southern downpour that blurred everything into gray. Somewhere outside Chattanooga, he saw her. A figure by the side of the road, soaked through, thumb out, hood up. He almost drove past. But something, maybe guilt, maybe loneliness, made him stop. She got in without a word. Droplets on her eyelashes, trembling lips, and a red backpack clutched tightly. He glanced at her. "You got a name?" She hesitated. "Alex." He nodded. "Where you headed?" She shrugged. "Away." He didn't press. He drove. The rain didn't stop. At the next gas station, she passed out. One moment she was sipping a vending machine coffee. The next she was crumpled on the floor, pale and shaking. Darius acted on instinct. He pulled her to the back seat, checked her bag for ID. Found more than he expected. A high-level corporate ID badge, Alexandria Winters. A slim, encrypted drive with biometric lock. A folded piece of paper, written in rushed ink. "If I disappear, open the archive. It has everything." His heart stopped. Winters. The name echoed like gunfire in his head. He looked at her again, unconscious and soaked. The daughter of the man who had buried his dream. She woke up in the back seat 20 minutes later, dazed. "Where's my bag?" she croaked. "In the front," he said coldly. "Did you look?" He didn't answer. She nodded. Then I guess you know. The silence was heavy. The rain kept falling. I'm not here to apologize, she said. I'm here because I found out what my father's company really does. And I ran. I can't go to the press. I can't go to the board. And if I go to the police, I disappear. He said nothing. Alex looked him in the eye. You don't have to help me. Just don't turn me in. He pulled the car over. Get out. She didn't move. Get out. She stepped into the rain, clutching the bag. He drove off. 10 minutes later, he slammed the brakes. The wipers squeaked back and forth as he sat there, hands on the wheel shaking. He turned the car around. When he pulled up beside her, she didn't say anything. She just opened the door and got in. You're the daughter of the man who ruined me, he said. She looked at him. Then why did you come back? He didn't know. Maybe because, despite everything, she hadn't lied. Maybe because she looked terrified. Maybe because, for the first time in weeks, he saw a thread that could be pulled. You might be the only witness left, he said, with a conscience. The road ahead was still wet, still dark. But now it was heading somewhere. The drive was silent for almost an hour. Alex sat curled in the passenger seat, arms wrapped tightly around her knees. Her hoodie was still damp. Her eyes kept darting to the glove compartment, where Darius had locked away the encrypted drive. He noticed, but he didn't say anything. It wasn't trust yet. It wasn't even alliance. It was something else. A quiet tension, like a wire stretched between them, humming with questions neither wanted to ask. Finally, she spoke. I didn't know your name until now. He didn't answer. I mean, I knew your company, Noble Path. My father mentioned it once, said it was an unsustainable ideal. Darius laughed once dryly. That sounds like him. I didn't understand what he meant. I do now. Darius glanced at her. Why'd you run? Alex looked out the window. Her voice was low. Because I stopped being useful. A pause. I worked in the strategy division, but they kept things from me. Even as his daughter, I only saw curated pieces. Until I got curious. She tapped her fingers nervously on her knee. There was this analyst, Min. She got reassigned out of nowhere. She'd been tracking data anomalies in our acquisition reports. Startups bought and buried. Patterns of founder demographics. Weird filters in internal systems. Darius's jaw tightened. I asked about it. They told me to focus on onboarding procedures. Don't chase ghosts. That's what they said. So I started saving files, pulling reports. I used my clearance to dig deeper. And what did you find? She looked at him now. A blacklist. A literal list. Startups flagged not by performance, not by revenue, but by profile. If the founder wasn't white, male, Ivy League, they were marked as high risk for investor confidence. She exhaled sharply. I found memos, internal notes from board meetings. They talked about neutralizing PR hazards. And then there was something worse, a document called Project Alpha. It was clinical, cold. They'd simulate market downturns, push fake concerns, and strip startups for parts. Darius gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles turned pale. I confronted my father, she said. He didn't deny it. He blinked. He didn't even lie? No, he told me the world works one way and ideals don't scale. Then he asked me if I wanted a seat at the table, or to waste my life being right. What did you say? I said nothing. I walked out. I took everything I'd saved, and I ran. They pulled into a small motel on the outskirts of a town that looked like it had missed the last 10 years. Neon signs buzzed. The rain had turned to drizzle. Inside the room, Darius placed the encrypted drive on the table between them. You're sure this has what we need? Alex nodded. It's the mirror of the internal server. Not just reports, emails, video logs, contracts, everything. You know they'll come for you. They already have. That's why I was on the road. They cut my cards, tracked my phone. I ditched everything that could ping location. Why me? I didn't plan to find you. I was just trying to get out of the state. Then why trust me with this? She looked at him, for the first time with something close to defiance. Because you lost everything because of him. Because I saw your name on the internal flag list. You were the prototype, the first one they tested the kill switch on. Silence, then, softly. And because I don't want to be my father. Darius stood and looked out the window. The rain had stopped, but something colder was moving in. The kind of cold that meant someone somewhere had noticed she was missing. Tomorrow, he said, we find someone who can break that drive open. Then we decide what comes next. Alex nodded. Before he turned off the light, she said, "Do you believe me?" "I believe the file," he said. "People lie. Data doesn't." She lay down, eyes open in the dark. He didn't sleep. The next morning, they headed west. Darius made one call to the only person he still trusted in the legal world. Maya Rivera, a former civil rights attorney who'd been disbarred after uncovering evidence of judicial corruption in a corporate antitrust case. Maya didn't answer, but a minute later a text came through. "If this is about Winters, come alone. No phones, no recordings." Darius showed the screen to Alex. She raised an eyebrow. "Sounds promising." They drove 3 hours to an old farmhouse on a dirt road deep in the hills. Maya was waiting on the porch, in jeans and a threadbare sweater, with eyes that had seen too much. When she saw Alex, her gaze sharpened. "She's one of them?" "She's out," Darius said. "Is that different?" "We'll find out." Inside, Maya poured tea but didn't offer pleasantries. "You want help?" she asked. "Then I need leverage." "What's on the drive?" Alex spoke. Proof of acquisition fraud, racial profiling, internal whistleblower terminations, board collusion, falsified audits. Maya didn't blink. "You better hope you're not exaggerating. Because if even half of that's true, we're not just poking the bear, we're gutting it. And if all of it's true?" Maya leaned back. "Then we bring in Zoya Chun." "Who's that?" Alex asked. "A ghost," Maya replied. "The kind that leaves scars." She used to design cybersecurity systems for private intelligence firms until she found out they were selling back doors to the highest bidder. And now, she tracks the people who tracked her. She owes me a favor. Darius felt the first flicker of something he hadn't felt in weeks. Not hope, but motion. Something was moving again. The system that buried him was about to find out what it meant to try and erase the wrong man. The door buzzed 3 times, then silence. Zoya Chun opened it exactly 40 seconds later. No questions, no welcome, just a motion of the head. Inside, the apartment was small, bare, and cold. Not lived in, just maintained. There were no family photos, no decorative touches, just a desk covered in hardware, wires, and 3 monitors displaying lines of code that didn't stop moving. Zoya barely glanced at them before turning back to her guests. Her eyes landed on Alex. "So the traitor arrives." Alex flinched. "You know who I am?" Zoya nodded once. "I watched your father's boardroom cameras for 2 years. I know who everyone is." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Still running surveillance?" "Old feeds, archived. I keep records of criminals, just in case the world forgets." Darius held up the encrypted drive. "This has everything. If we get into it, can you make it public? Safe, wide, undeniable?" Zoya took it, turned it over in her hand like a surgeon weighing a blade. "I can break this in a day," she said. "But once I do, we won't be the only ones watching. They'll know. Every alert in their system will go off. We won't get a second chance." Darius nodded. "We don't need one." Zoya placed the drive into a reader with soft fingers. "You better pray that's true." They set up camp in the safe house. Maya worked on legal protocols, cross-referencing names and dates. Alex reviewed reports, silently cataloging the rot she'd grown up inside. Darius stayed by the windows, watching. Zoya didn't sleep. She typed for hours. The room filled with the soft sound of keystrokes and whirring fans. By morning, she had it. "It's real," she said simply. The drive contained over 4,000 documents, 37 flagged founders, internal memos about ethnographic risk metrics, contracts pushed through shell firms, video files from internal meetings where executives use phrases like white labeling for demographic comfort and minority dilution strategy. Worse, there was the board discussion of Project Alpha, a campaign of artificial failure, targeting startups with volatile optics. Darius's company, Noble Path, was the pilot case. There was even a clip. He recognized the date, the day before his investors all dropped out. A man in a suit was speaking. He'll think the market turned. That's the brilliance. They never blame the machinery, only themselves. Darius didn't breathe. Zoya paused the playback. This is enough to detonate the company. Alex looked away. Her face was pale, her hands shaking. Maya stepped forward. We need to do more than leak it. We need to force a response in real time. You're talking about a full takedown, Zoya said. Broadcast, press, simultaneous pressure? Maya nodded. One hit, coordinated. No deniability. High stakes, Darius muttered. They'll come after us. They already are, Alex said softly. Everyone turned to her. I got a call this morning, she said. Private line. No ID. Just breathing then. You still have time to come home. Zoya's eyes narrowed. They know she's with us? Maya moved quickly. We need new identities, roots out, and a hard deadline. Zoya nodded. Give me 48 hours. No, Darius said. Give me 24. We launch tomorrow. Everyone stared at him. Why rush? Maya asked. Because if we wait, we're gambling with our lives. But if we act now, while their guard is still down, we catch them flat-footed. Alex stood up. I'll do the opening segment. I'll go on record. You sure? Maya asked. She nodded. If I disappear after this, I want it to matter. Zoya typed rapidly. I can patch into the live stream of their next board presentation. It's in 21 hours. Broadcast goes out globally, but it'll take surgical timing. I'll write the anchor statement, Maya said. Every word needs to land like a nail. And the data? Darius asked. Zoya smiled. Already mirrored to 72 nodes. Even if they burn this place down, they won't stop it. That night, Darius found Alex sitting on the back porch. The moon was out. The silence between them wasn't cold anymore. Just unfinished. She spoke first. I read your first pitch deck, the one you sent before Noble Path launched. He blinked. How? I still had access to early investor archives. You said something in it. The economy is not broken. It was designed this way. I'm building something better. He looked down. Idealistic. No, she said. True. A pause. I used to think I knew what strength was, Alex continued. I thought it was about controlling outcomes, being untouchable. But maybe it's about choosing to act even when you know you might lose. He looked at her. You're still afraid. Yes. Good, he said. That means you still know what's real. Then, if this goes wrong, she met his eyes. Then we burn with it. He smiled faintly. Let's make sure it doesn't. At dawn, the team moved into position. Zoya's screens lit up with digital grids. Maya rehearsed the speech line by line. Alex recorded her statement twice, then deleted it. Then again. Then one more time. She didn't cry. Not once. And Darius? He suited up. Not in armor. In memory. He brought a flash drive of Noble Path's original code, a reminder of what had once been pure, before the vultures came. He uploaded it to the final package, a signature. Let's give them something they can't spin, he said. Then we better hit send, Zoya replied, before they hit back. The timer on the screen ticked down, 00041. The headquarters of Winners Enterprise rose like a polished monolith in the center of downtown Chicago. Glass and steel, 38 floors of wealth engineered to feel inevitable. Inside the boardroom on floor 34, Frederick Winters adjusted his tie in front of the wall-length screen. Around him sat a dozen board members, media liaisons, and high-level investors. The company's quarterly briefing was about to begin, broadcast live across financial networks and internal corporate channels. Today, he announced, we reaffirm our commitment to innovation, trust, and long-term growth. Cameras rolled, 20 miles away. In a rented workspace hidden among warehouse blocks, 4 people stared at a screen of their own. Zoya sat at the center, hands flying over keys. Secure uplink confirmed. We're in. Maya stood with her tablet, watching the transcript of Winter's speech scroll in real time. We hit the line at 40 seconds before he closes. It's rehearsed. Always is. Alex, in a plain jacket, hands folded, nodded once. Let's do it. Darius stood near the window, eyes fixed outward. He didn't need to see the broadcast. He knew how this man talked, how he weaponized calmness, made deceit look like order. Zoya spoke. Last chance to back out. No one moved. She tapped a single key. A new feed began uploading into the active stream. Slowly, invisibly. No disruptions, just one extra layer. It would activate when Winters reached the final sentence, like pulling the curtain down before the magician could finish the trick. Back in the skyscraper, Frederick Winters reached the climax of his presentation. We believe the future is equitable, empowered, and inclusive. And then, without warning, the feed stuttered. Once, twice, and changed. The stream did not return to the podium. Instead, the screen went black for 2 seconds. Then, a woman's voice. Alex's voice. If you're seeing this, you need to understand what Winters Enterprise truly is. On screen appeared internal memos, emails, faces. Alex's face filled the frame. My name is Alex Winters. Until recently, I was a senior strategist at this company and the daughter of its founder. What I discovered in that role will speak for itself. Then, without music, without edits, the evidence played. Video of board meetings, audio of discussions about founder optics, memos flagging companies for cultural misalignment, charts comparing minority-owned startups to instability indicators. Then, the list. Dozens of startup names, demographics, kill dates. Noble Path was number 1. Then a final video. Frederick Winters himself saying the words, "We neutralize noise. Investors need clarity, not chaos. If that means curating the color palette, so be it." The room exploded. Some board members stood up. Others froze. Phones began vibrating. One, then dozens. The live stream had already gone viral. Social networks lit up. Financial journalists scrambled. The official broadcast couldn't be pulled fast enough. A moderator stammering stepped into the frame. "Mr. Winters, do you have a response regarding Project Alpha or the company's list of—" He checked his notes, visibly rattled. "Unacceptable founders?" Frederick opened his mouth, then closed it. The cameras caught his face, not composed, not charismatic, but hollow. Caught. "Cut the feed," he muttered to his aide. Too late. 20 minutes later. Maya slammed her phone on the table. Every major outlet is running with it. Regulators are opening emergency hearings. Minority-owned platforms are flooding timelines with testimony. Congressional reps are calling for a formal inquiry. Zoya turned from her keyboard. "We're trending in 12 countries. Hashtag founder fraud. Also, blacklist billionaire." Alex sat down slowly, as if her body had just realized it was over, or just beginning. Then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated one and picked up. The voice on the other end was calm, clipped. "I should have left you out of it." It was her father. "You're my daughter. I could have protected you. You were protecting a machine." Pause. "I built it to last," he said, "but you built its end." Click. The line went dead. She stared at the screen for a long time. Then she smiled. By nightfall, the FBI raided the Winters Enterprise headquarters. Frederick Winters was escorted out in handcuffs. Stock prices for the firm plummeted by 64% in 6 hours. Former executives scrambled to delete records. Too late. Whistleblowers came forward. The Justice Department opened an official case file. International Markets labeled it the most significant ethical breach in corporate history. And Alex? At a press conference 2 days later, she stood behind a podium, surrounded by activists, community leaders, and ex-founders like Darius. She removed her family ring, set it on the table. "I am not Winters anymore," she said. "My name is Alex Thomas. I stand with the people whose names were buried to build castles." She looked out across the room. This is not just an ending. It's a design reset. 3 months later, Washington was louder than usual. On a clear spring morning, the steps of the Capitol were covered not in protesters, but in builders, founders, organizers, policymakers, and newly minted reformers. They weren't shouting. They were planning. Inside, behind closed doors, legislation was being drafted, not just to penalize what had happened at Winter's Enterprise, but to create systems of transparency in venture capital. A new era of scrutiny was forming, and Darius Thomas was sitting at the center of the conversation. He hadn't asked for power. He still didn't want it. But he had something rarer now: credibility. He walked quietly through the marble halls of the Justice Department beside Maya Rivera, who now served as a strategic advisor on startup equity reform. Suits nodded as they passed. Some looked away, embarrassed. Others leaned in with genuine respect. Outside, reporters were already labeling it the Business Nuremberg. Darius hated the name. This wasn't about punishment, it was about restoration. Meanwhile, across the country, in a bright space carved out of a repurposed warehouse in Oakland, a small group worked under a new name: Horizon Technologies. The concept was simple and radical. Instead of pitching to the old networks, Horizon invested in founders from marginalized communities directly. No gatekeeping, no filters. Every deal was transparent, with public-facing equity tables and guaranteed mentoring programs. The pilot fund launched with $50 million, most of it from community syndicates and redistributed Winter's Enterprise capital, voluntarily surrendered by Alex. Every startup funded by Horizon carried a tag on its site: founder verified, fairly backed. The old world saw that as a threat. The new one saw it as overdue. Alex Thomas, once a ghost in a mansion, now ran the Winters Redistribution Foundation, a painfully named organization she refused to rebrand. "The name stays," she said when asked, "as a warning." She moved through the world differently now. She rode the train instead of a private car. She sat in town halls, not boardrooms. And when people asked if she missed the life she left behind, she would simply say, "No, I miss what I thought it was, but I've found what it should have been." She wasn't trying to be redeemed. She was trying to be useful. Zoya Chun, quiet as ever, didn't speak at panels or give interviews, but her code spoke for her. Her team launched a new open-source platform, Spectre. It tracked patterns of investment manipulation in real time, flagged shell firms, and even built predictive models of soft exclusion, helping watchdogs, activists, and independent media keep pressure on big capital. Spectre was already being adopted in 2 countries. When someone emailed her asking why she built it, she replied with only 2 words: "Because I could." On a quiet afternoon, in a co-working space with bad coffee and good ideas, Darius sat with 3 young founders. None of them had ever pitched before. One was a Somali-American woman building microfinance tools. Another was a former inmate creating an app for parole management. The third, a shy, brilliant coder from New Mexico, had developed a prototype for offline education kits in reservation schools. They weren't scalable in the old language, but they were real. After the presentations, Darius leaned back and smiled. "Let's get to work." Later that night, he walked along a quiet street as the city settled. Alex waited at a bench, holding 2 coffees. They didn't need to talk much anymore. Silence had become a kind of agreement between them. Still, she spoke first. "You ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't been on that road?" He sipped his coffee. "Every day." She looked at him. "Do you regret stopping?" He turned to her, finally smiling. "No," he said. "I regret almost not stopping." They sat quietly, no flashbulbs, no press. Just 2 people who had seen the worst of a system and decided not to become it.